Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Historical Humans YouTube channel. And today on our Heritage series, we are going to be visiting Serbia, where we are looking at a very beautiful monastery, one that Aaron has a very unique connection to.
Because it's visiting. Du- 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 du.
Yes, Aaron is celebrating the two principal monuments of Studenica Monastery's complex, which are the Church of the Virgin and the King's Church, both of which are home to priceless collections of Byzantine paintings.
God, I fucking love the Byzantines. They make such good art.
uh, if people ever wondered how rigorous our selection process is, there you have it.
You know, you know, we
I
yeah,
promise I don't have a bias.
we throw the phrase East Roman at Aaron and suddenly he's off.
As
Listen,
if we
there's a
didn't have a
reason.
15-minute conversation about New Rome.
Yeah, right. By the way,
Yes,
fourth Rome,
yeah.
Helsinki, obviously.
Listen,
Washington, D.C.
one of these
God,
days,
no.
it's going to come out that that someone is actually recording us when we discuss what we're going to do next and post that. It's an absolute chaos.
Oh, don't worry. I have that blackmail for you guys later. We're going to do
It's
that
not
once we make
blackmail if I exploit it myself.
it. Anyways, speaking of exploitation, the Studenica Monastery.
Yes. Well, one of the key reasons that Studenica Monastery is so important is it is the largest and richest of Serbia's Orthodox monastery, and that is in part due to the people who are buried there.
Ooh.
There are three key figures from early Serbian history whose final resting place is within the monastery. The first is the founder of the monastery, a man known as Saint Simeon, uh, who basically established the medieval state of Serbia.
Wow.
Hmm.
Buried alongside him are Serbia's first ever king and queen, uh, uh, Anastasia and Stephen the First crowned.
You know, it's very interesting to me how a lot of times when rulers are trying to authenticate their or validate their leadership, they tend to tie religion into it.
Why is he called the first crown?
Because he was the first king of Serbia. So he is not just Stephen the First, he is Stephen the First crowned,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of a really fun way of saying, I'm king because I said so,
That's like
and
a
I
pretty
own it.
badass title too, though,
Like,
to be fair, of like I'm not just the first of my name, I am the first ever.
yeah, yeah. Other people got to go around and, give themselves other more terrifying names like William the Conqueror. No, I'm just the first crowned. I'm the first, and there will be many after me. Back off.
See, and my personal favorite, maybe because of my connection to him, is Robert the Bruce. You're not the first, you're not the second, you're not the conqueror, you're the Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
this
love I love kings giving themselves titles.
But the monastery is in remarkable condition. I mean, there is clearly evidence of the older sections of the monastery collapsing and showing wear with age. But the overall condition is pretty good. I mean, the outside walls, which I'm sure are older, later additions,
Yeah.
still hold up. Plus the church. And it's kind of cool because you see the traditional medieval style, the early medieval style, with the more orthodox take on the right hand side.
Yes. Oh yes, very much. I believe on the right hand side is what is known as the King's Church, founded in 1314 by King Milutin, who commissioned a pair of Salonican painters, Michael and Eutychius, which I really can't say his name, to basically decorate the entirety of the inside of the church with frescoes. And the cycle of life of the Virgin Mary is considered like the penultimate work of Byzantine art, and it is a fresco um, in this church.
That's a pretty badass thing to be known for, to be fair.
Yeah.
God, it's always, whether it's frescoes or mosaics, the Byzantines do it right in this
Yeah.
period.
You know, I really think that's something that we truly miss out on in the modern day. I wish that businesses, banks, churches just painted their ceilings again. Just floor to ceiling, decorate that shit. Because some of these places are bland as hell. Like going into an office every day, I would feel a lot better if there was just artwork everywhere.
I mean, it's almost intentional, as if all these buildings are produced by the cheap for like the cheapest amount possible to. This is all about
Oh,
function
it's
and
called
not about making things look pretty. Because God forbid we have nice things and companies actually spend money on making nice
Oh,
things.
the
yeah.
Calvinists are thriving.
It's called
Goddamn
being
capitalists.
it's called being economical. And speaking of God forbidding things, churches.
Oh no.
Uh, yeah. We're gonna look into the criterion that makes it forbidden for anyone to ever mess with this church ever again.
I also think it should be
Yay.
noted that they don't have images of the frescoes or mosaics on the UNESCO page, most likely because the monastery limits the amount of people that view it. And most places like this, photography is strictly forbidden.
Yeah.
Because there are
Yeah.
going to be people asking, like, why can't you show it? There's your
Yeah,
answer.
yeah, that is a very good point, and part of that is they want to keep it. The only images that would exist electronically would be images kept specifically for the historical record and not for public viewing. And let's be honest, tourists with flash cameras are a major problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so the criterion.
yeah, number one, they have they have the frescoes. They just have this Byzantine art. That is literally criterion one is you have this art, you've met the criteria. You show an exemplary piece of cultural work.
And they call it the most perfect expression of their style when referencing the artist and the artwork. To
Yeah.
call it the single most perfect example is exceptionally high praise.
Yeah. Uh yeah. Criterion 2, the Church of the Virgin, which is the larger of the two churches in the complex and not the one featuring the obscenely perfect artwork. Uh, that one is the architectural model for all the other churches in this in Eastern medieval architecture. It is the model for many other Orthodox churches. So you were the first, and everyone else copied you. Criteria number two.
Not to mention, number two talks about the monumental style which emerged after the fall of Constantinople. Take
Yep.
that, second Rome.
Yep. I like to point out that it's the fall of Constantinople to the Crusaders,
Yeah,
which is
1209
the
or 1205.
earlier, which is the earlier fall.
1204?
1204.
Oh,
1204. It comes back in 1205.
Those
They
that's
let
bastards.
it, they let it exist again.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yep.
yeah, because the Venetians took it all.
It's
All
not
right
like like Venice 300 years prior to existing.
now.
Well, they did. Don't tell me. Where do you think a
We're
lot of the
talking about
Byzantines?
12 we're talking about 1204. Venice is a swamp at this point.
No, it's not. 1204 Venice. It was literally like the Mediterranean fleet of all of Europe.
Alrighty.
A swamp.
We can argue the positives and
Anyway,
negatives of Venice all day long. Criterion 4, however, talks about how Studenica was an outstanding example of a Serbian Orthodox monastery that is preserved in a lot of different ways. It's preserved from the 13th to the 18th century. Not only are there churches preserved, but the monks' quarters, um, a bunch of fortifications, hermitages. They even have the marble quarries from which the blocks were drawn. Like it's all right there. It's honestly really impressive how centralized and how preserved everything is.
yeah, it is very rare to have the quarry from which the monument is made preserved, alongside the working quarters that the people were living in while they were cutting the stone. Like everything from start to finish for the construction of this complex exists in the historical record and is preserved, which is very rare because usually there's a piece missing somewhere. A good example is the pyramids. With we have where the stone came from, we have where the pyramids are, and we have very little for the in between.
We've got a good idea. I mean,
Yeah, we have an idea, but to have it all perfectly preserved and laid out like this
we talk
is pretty
off screen a lot about how archaeologists are baffled by this idea. But in reality, like we have a general understanding. It's just
yeah,
putting practice, and it's
yeah,
hard to say specifics.
yeah. It's just and having the specifics laid out in stone is something that makes this very worthy of Criterion 4.
And then Criterion 6 talks about good old Stephen the First crowned.
Yeah, yeah, and Saint Simeon and Anastasia. Basically, it's the home, or it's the final resting place of the founding, like trinity of Serbian culture.
Yeah, not to
That's
mention
three people.
Saint Sava Nemanjic, the founder's youngest son, who
Oh
wrote the
yeah.
first literary work in the Serbian language. So
Oh yeah.
another huge milestone associated with the monastery.
Yep.
So kind of interesting. It's a really cool site, and it's something that I honestly didn't know that much about, and it's a lot more interesting than even I thought.
Yeah. No, it's a very fun place.
But on that note, we're going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. We will catch you in the next video.